My name is Chelsea Slack, and I'm the Deputy Head of the Cyber Defense Section at NATO headquarters. NATO's been on a journey when it comes to developing its approach to cyber defense. That includes everything from the capabilities to the policy questions. The three main pillars you can think of in terms of NATO's mandate in cyber defense. The first has to do with protecting the assets that we have, so protecting the networks. And this is quite a broad footprint, if you like, more than 60 sites. So protecting the information that we have, protecting the networks that we own, that's the first responsibility of NATO when it comes to cyber defense. Second, increasingly, we need to be able to operate in this space. We have operations and missions. Cyberspace is now recognized as a domain of operations. So in order to continue to do work in this increasingly digital era, we need to be able to ensure that we're able to operate in this space as well. So that's the second aspect. And then the third pillar of work that we do is, as a platform of 29 different countries, we help our allies to raise their own national resilience. Of course, it remains a national responsibility to decide how to organize cyber defense nationally, what types of strategies you put in place, how you work with partners. But given that we're an alliance, we try to use it as a platform where allies can raise their overall level of cyber resilience. So in short, the three main goals: protecting what we have, being able to operate in the space, and helping our allies to become as resilient as possible. We initially began recognizing the cyber threat and setting up our capabilities, for example, the NATO computer incident response capability, way back in 2002. But we took very much a technical approach to the issue. Well, as we've seen various geopolitical developments, be it in Estonia in 2007, Georgia 2008, Ukraine 2014, we've seen an evolution in the way that NATO thinks about cyber defense. It's now very much become a political issue that's on the agenda of the North Atlantic Council. And with that has come important decisions politically, such as, for example, in 2014, the decision to recognize cyber defense as part of NATO's core task of collective defense. At the same time, to recognize that international law applies in cyberspace. There are rules that govern this space, which is very important. We've also been working, as I said, become more operational in this area by recognizing cyberspace as a domain of operations, where we need to be just as effective in cyberspace as we are in the air, on land, and at sea. Also working to help allies build their resilience through initiatives such as the Cyber Defense Pledge. So it's been very dynamic over the past decade or more. Our approach has evolved in a very measured and responsible way in response to some of the incidents that we've seen and the geopolitical events. Now, in terms of where it's going, I would say NATO's continuing. We recognize that we've made a lot of progress in this area, but there's much more to be done, which is why we're constantly looking at ways to boost our capabilities to ensure that the alliance can deliver on its core task, for example, of collective defense. We're looking at ways to help allies enhance their resilience by sharing that best practice, what's going on nationally in the field of education and training, for example, or exercises. How can we help allies to raise their overall level of cyber defense? And third, I would say we'll continue to look at building partnerships, which are essential. We like to say at NATO that cyber is a team sport, and so we've been doing a lot of work to try to develop our relationships with other countries, with other international organizations such as the European Union, and with industry and academia. And I think especially as we're seeing a lot of talk now in terms of where technology is headed, we're doing a lot of work in thinking about innovation, about emerging technologies, and how for the last 70 years, NATO has been preventing conflict and helping to preserve peace, how we remain fit for purpose for the next 70 years when it comes to the development of technology and keeping up with the pace of innovation. For me, the strategy challenge is key, and I know that NATO is very pleased to be a sponsor of this event. And what's so important is that it captures what we deal with in terms of cyber defense on a daily basis. And that is that you have to take incidents, you have to take a situation, you have to analyze it, and then you have to make policy recommendations and present that then to your decision makers. So what the strategy challenge does is it brings that to life, if you like, and it involves students, it involves graduates, and in that sense, it helps to train that next generation, which is so important, and not just sitting in a classroom and learning about how to write a policy brief, but really put in front of a group of judges, you're given a scenario and you need to present it. And that's a very practical application of what we do on a daily basis. So that's why I think it makes it unique in that sense. And it also brings together the stakeholders that we work with on a daily basis. So be it from academia or from industry or from governments or from international organizations like the one I represent. So for me, the strategy challenge really has the whole package in that sense, which is why we're really excited to support that initiative. And moving forward, that's exactly what we need. We need people who have different backgrounds, who can spot issues, who can analyze them and package that, tailor that in a way then that informs decisions, which is what this field is all about. And so I think the strategy challenge in particular equips the next generation to deal with those things. Let alone the next generation, but also for the judges, we get quite a lot out of it, because I can tell you, I learned quite a bit from them too in their responses. That was a great idea, or that was really well done. So once again, it's not just a one-way street in that sense. It's very dynamic, and I think the GCSP, the Atlantic Council, do a great job in making sure that there's that two-way street.